US Secretary of State Antony Blinken's recent declaration that Ukraine's NATO membership is inevitable marks a profound turning point in the geopolitical landscape of Eastern Europe. Blinken's assertion not only reaffirms Western support for Ukraine amid its ongoing conflict with Russia, but also highlights a critical shift in the international order. His words carry significant weight, signaling that Ukraine's future is deeply intertwined with the West, despite the looming opposition from Moscow. As Blinken noted, Ukraine is already on the path to NATO integration, though several reforms remain necessary to meet the alliance's stringent standards. These reforms, aimed at aligning Ukraine's military, political and governance structures with NATO principles, are critical steps that the country must take before securing full membership. Yet, the very notion of Ukraine's ascension to NATO strikes at the heart of the conflict with Russia, whose leaders view it as an existential threat to their sphere of influence. For Moscow, the idea of Ukraine joining NATO is a red line that cannot be crossed. In June, Russian President Vladimir Putin made it clear that Ukraine's renunciation of its NATO ambitions was a precondition for any potential ceasefire and the start of negotiations. Alongside this demand, Putin also insisted on the withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, as well as from the Zaporizhia and Kherson regions, territories that Russia has sought to control since the onset of its military operations in Ukraine. These conditions, however, were quickly rejected by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who dismissed them as an unacceptable ultimatum. For Zelensky and for many Ukrainians, NATO membership represents more than just military security. It symbolizes Ukraine's broader integration into the Western political and economic sphere. It is a safeguard against further Russian aggression and a path toward a future in which Ukraine can determine its own destiny, free from external coercion. Blinken's remarks are also reflective of a broader consensus within NATO, where member states have increasingly recognized the strategic importance of Ukraine in countering Russian expansionism. While there is still work to be done before Ukraine can formally join the alliance, the fact that NATO countries see its membership as inevitable underscores a deepening commitment to Ukraine's defense and sovereignty. It also sends a clear message to Russia. NATO is prepared to stand by Ukraine for the long haul, even as the conflict grinds on. The prospect of Ukraine joining NATO also carries significant implications for the future of European security. It could reshape the balance of power on the continent, potentially anchoring Ukraine as a key player in the alliance's eastern flank. This development would not only fortify NATO's position in Eastern Europe, but also increase its deterrence capabilities against any future Russian aggression. However, the road to NATO membership is fraught with challenges. Beyond the necessary reforms, Ukraine must also navigate the delicate political landscape that comes with joining such a powerful military alliance. The war with Russia has already tested Ukraine's resilience, and while NATO membership would provide substantial security guarantees, it could also provoke further escalations from Moscow, which has long regarded NATO's eastward expansion as a direct threat to its own security. For Ukraine, the desire to join NATO is not merely about fulfilling Western ambitions, but about ensuring its survival and prosperity in a volatile region. The war with Russia has underscored the dangers of being left in a geopolitical grey zone, vulnerable to external aggression. NATO membership offers a way out of this limbo, providing Ukraine with the institutional backing and military support it needs to secure its future. Yet the question remains, what will Russia do if Ukraine's NATO membership becomes a reality? Moscow has made its position clear, but its options are limited. The war has strained Russia's military and economic resources, and while it can continue to wage war in Ukraine, it may ultimately be forced to accept a reality it has long sought to avoid: Ukraine's permanent alignment with the West. In the end, Blinken's comments reflect the growing resolve within NATO to bring Ukraine into the fold, despite the enormous challenges that lie ahead. The path to membership may be long and difficult, but the momentum is unmistakable. For Ukraine, NATO is no longer just a distant aspiration. It is an imminent reality that could redefine its place in the world and reshape the future of European security for decades to come.